Hey everybody, Josh Hannabury here. Welcome back to the Truck Focus podcast. I'm super excited for episode 9. Finally here. Good friend of mine, her name's Ginny, part of POM Protects You, and we're talking about a bunch of different type of liability, personal coverages in today's episode. Just really appreciate her passion for people, her ability to really identify what is this person going through and how can I help. Very excited. So thanks so much for tuning in. Let's get to it. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Truck Focus podcast. Super excited that you've decided to join us today. I have a really special guest. Just won't lie, I'm pretty excited. So on today's episode, I have someone that I've been excited to introduce you to because of the impact she had on my life pretty fast. It was really exciting. So as an organization, so Truck Focus podcast, I'm really focused on connecting industry experts to the industry to help create a pivotal change. And my friend Ginny, who's AKA POM Protects You, she's that person. So recently we connected, and as I learned more about her, just as a person, how proud she is to be a mom, loving wife, who happens to be a tradesperson, so I'm not going to steal the thunder on her story on that, which is super cool. Just learning about her mission, her values, and the different services offered by her and her organization. That honestly, it's just phenomenal. I'm super excited. So to have to say, Ginny's one of the most passionate people I've met recently, and she's really passionate on ensuring people and families are protected in the event a situation goes down that maybe resulted in injury or even worse. So Ginny does an excellent job communicating just how people matter, and her specialty is helping making sure that families and individuals, they get money in their pockets from the first day if an injury occurs, an illness happens, and they also allow people to have the dignity to focus on recovery and not just the bills. So welcome, Ginny. Thank you so much for hopping on today.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited. Thank you.
So that's awesome. Yeah, like I just mentioned, we were talking even before the podcast was launched, and I'm like, goal board, Ginny, yes, let's do this. So that's super awesome. So why don't you start us off, just kind of explain who you are, and how did you get into this whole not just liability space, but the coverage space that you offer. Kind of share your backstory.
Awesome, thank you. So as Josh said, I'm a mom to 3 kids. I've got a 21-year-old, a 10-year-old, and a 12-year-old. So big age gap there. My husband, he is subcontracted out as a tradesperson. He's a carpenter. And my background's actually in psychology. And I was always hoping that I would go back and get my master's so that I could practice psychology. And then in a surprising twist of fate, I found myself in the insurance space, which never in a million years would I have ever thought I would be here. But now I'm here because I'm part of actually changing an industry. So it's pretty cool. I'm really, really excited about it. And surprisingly so.
That's awesome. That's great. So do you want to just share a little bit of the backstory? Like, how did you first learn of the corporation that you ended up partnering with, or if that's the right word, I know you're going to explain it. Share the backstory of kind of how that came to be.
Yeah, I'll try to condense it because it's a bit of a long story, but I'll give a short version. So as I said, my husband's self-employed, and I was actually a stay-at-home mom to our 3 kitties. And so obviously with only one income that we had, we were trying to do the responsible thing, and we had looked for insurance to cover my husband in the event that he got sick or hurt. Because he's in a higher risk occupation, it's really, really expensive to cover someone, as well as there were these waiting periods that were allocated to it. So 120-day waiting period, we thought, my goodness, like most injuries and things like that happen and are long since healed and recovered by that time. So we thought, that's fine, we'll just self-insure, we'll put this money aside into a savings, and if something happens. But let's be honest, we never did, and most people don't. Other things always come up, right? So, and we're raising a family, it happens. And then about 6 years ago, he and we had a night away from the kids. We had gone to Banff, and we just finished having dinner, and he and I are, husband and wife walking down the street. Main Street Banff, if anybody's been there, it's busy. There are people, swarming the streets, and it was so bright out. And he was attacked from behind by some random person that had come running from blocks behind, so we were told. And so imagine a 6'3" man just towering to the ground, head split open like a watermelon. Like it was, even to this day when I talk about it, it seems like a surreal thing that ever happened. And so, yeah, it was crazy. And so, yeah, his head just split open, and long story short, the doctors had said, you can't even think of going back to work for the next 6 months to a year. You know, this is a life-threatening brain injury. If you even so much as bump your head again, this could be lights out. So here we are with, you know, brain fluid coming out of his ears and blood in his orbital sockets, me not working, him not working. We're in trouble on an epic level. So of course I said, I will go back. I'll try to get my old job back. I'll work at McDonald's if I have to. And some of you might relate to this, but as our sole income earner, the weight of the family was on his shoulders. And, you know, so, and he was a stubborn man too. And he said, nope, I'm going back to work. I've got to do this. 1 week later, he went back to work. And so, yeah, like it was every day he left, I thought, okay, this really sucks. Like, you know, we're almost doing this trade-off as to keeping him alive or paying our bills, like, you know, so, and every day he left, I thought this could be the last day. So I'm happy to report that everything is okay, but it propelled me into looking at other options out there. You know, what else is out there that, you know, people can have coverage that can come in right away from the very first day to avoid people having to go to work sick or hurt, like on a almost, you know, I'm almost going to die kind of level. So that's how I started looking deeply into the industry and looking to see if there was anything else out there. Yeah, so I guess I can proceed in saying that from there, a year after the injury, somebody said to me, holy smokes, Ginny, you need to see this coverage. It is like nothing I've ever seen before. And in my mind, I thought, oh man, I've seen everything that's out there. Anyway, she showed me, we both thought, this is absolutely, seems too good to be true. And so, you know, we did our research and, you know, did all the due diligence, and sure enough, it all pans out. And so we got my husband a policy. And again, long story short, we made 3 claims back to back to back. And it was just the way in which they paid the claims, the ease of which they pay the claims, and they were just for broken bones and stitches, like everyday life stuff that's happening. So it was after that 3rd claim that I felt compelled, and that I almost had like this information at my fingertips that I did not want to keep to myself. I just said, holy smokes, like what can I do to be a part of this company? People need to know that this company exists. It's 100 years old. It's quietly been marketed in farming communities, and now it's coming to main cities. So that's what, so this company subcontracts me out as a person who I then call myself POM Protects You, like peace of mind. But it's a 100-year-old company that has been specializing in this for farmers, and now it's available to everybody.
That's incredible. First off, I'm glad your husband's okay, because he sounds like a really good guy. And yeah, being a husband and a father, I can relate to I don't care what's happening. If I'm the breadwinner, which in my family, similar situation, yeah. It's just like, you got to do what you got to do. And yeah, so I'm glad he's okay. And yeah, obviously from our side conversations, I know he's doing really well, which is exciting. And yeah, it's interesting too, how I love word of mouth referrals, and the fact that not only did you learn of the coverage through a friend, you obviously took that passion and you took the next steps. So what was your thought process when you went from just having the policy to saying, you know what, I'm going to start sharing this with other friends, families, and strangers, essentially, because I was a stranger not too long ago myself. What shifted, and can you kind of walk us through that decision?
Sure, yeah. So yeah, first of all, obviously it was just getting the policy for my husband, thinking, okay, this is great. We've got this coverage that's gonna pay him from the first day something happens, and pay for the everyday life stuff that's happening, and the fact that it is wildly affordable. And then of course we made the 3 claims. I thought this is amazing. And again, I still had designs to, when our kids were in school, full time, that I would go back and get my master's. And this is where the twist of fate came in. When I learned about this and we had made our claims, and I just thought, people need to know about this. So instantly, within, like, as soon as we got our money from our third claim and I saw it come in, I called the company and I said, okay, what can I do to get licensed? So they said, here's what you have to do. I did my licensing immediately. I just wanted to get going. I just felt so like people needed to know, and they needed to know now. I didn't want anybody to have to go through what we had to go through. So I did my licensing, did my exams, got accident and sickness license within 2 weeks of when I made the decision. And here I was now in this space that never in a million years would I ever thought I would be in. But with my psychology background and my desire to help people, I'm helping people just in a very different way than I ever thought possible. So the satisfaction of having a client of mine call me and say, Ginny, I have this claim to make, or Ginny, can I make a claim? Or I'm confused, I don't know what to do. I am there to help my clients go through this process so that I'm supporting them through the process. It's not, here's your 1-800 number, good luck, see you later. It's me making sure that in a stressful time, I'm there for them. So that's basically, and I've been doing it for 5 years, and I don't ever want to do anything else. I absolutely love it. No more university, no master's degree. This is what I want to be doing.
Incredible.
Thank
And
you.
yeah, as I mentioned initially, kind of in the intro, one of the things that I found we definitely related on very fast was our passion for people. And I always find it interesting when, like, you're educated, which is awesome, in that specialty. So whenever I can have a good conversation with someone that you say things that I'd say strengthens my self-belief in wanting to help people, which is nice. And being able to do that in a crisis for someone else is so huge. So I always, obviously I'm in transportation. So when I think of being hurt from personal experience, dealing with, at that time, it wasn't you, which is too bad, because I felt bad that I was hurt. And I felt like it was, even though it wasn't my fault, it felt like it was my fault going through that entire, you felt dirty almost, because you're like, no, like I didn't do anything wrong. I just got hurt. And yeah, I think that really strengthens how it should be, what you just said, because people matter, and it's not their fault. Let's help them. And from day one, being able to essentially, like, maybe it's virtually or over the phone or in person, hold someone's hand through that process. It's, yeah, like that puts years back on people's life, because they're not so much focused now on the bills, on the what ifs. It's focused on, okay, what is recovery? Like, how can I recover? Which, yeah, that's pretty awesome. So good for you. Are you cool then to describe, like, this program sounds exceptional, like what you're doing, what you're involved in. I'll say that very honestly. So can you break, or I guess paint the picture, like what does it entail? And I guess who would be eligible for something like this?
Yeah, for sure. Okay, I'll start off with what does it entail. So I think I mentioned the company, it started 100 years ago. So the whole idea of it was to make sure that money is coming in right away, just to exactly what you said. So people don't have to worry about bills. They can just worry about recovery. So we've got lots of different plans that can be put together and tailor fit to fit somebody's, like, custom fit to fit need, budget, of course, and concerns, right? So what works for one person might not work for another. So this is really cool. This is where the relationship piece comes in, where I learn about somebody, their family, what they need, and of course always budget, because we don't want to hamstring somebody to some ridiculous something that they can't afford. That's not the whole point. So that's kind of where I start out. And then anybody and everybody can get an accident plan, which is so cool, not connected to sicknesses. So everybody is eligible for an accident plan. The sickness plan, and by sickness, I mean anything. It could be deterioration of the body. It could be COVID, if you can believe it, even if you have a positive COVID test and have to quarantine. Anyways, our sickness plans, there's no medical exams. It's just a very short health questionnaire, and people would be surprised that we can cover individuals with certain pre-existing conditions. So I always say it's worth the conversation, because you never know what we can cover. as we keep mentioning, pays from the very first day that somebody gets sick or ill. So we know that, you know, our biggest asset is our ability to earn an income. And even if that were delayed or disrupted in some way, you know, those kinds of financial issues can compound. And the next thing you know, we're in trouble. So, you know, when you hear about loan and property foreclosures and somebody had to give up their truck and stuff like that, it's not necessarily because they were irresponsible with money. It was probably due to an injury or an illness that delayed their income. So that's really big. Another one that's huge is that it covers on and off the job. It does not matter how dangerous somebody's job is, and it also doesn't matter how dangerous somebody's activities are. So skydiving, scuba diving, motorcycling, quadding, sledding, downhill mountain biking, racing, like it doesn't matter what you're doing, we are covering. So it's pretty remarkable. A lot of people stop doing those things because they know that if they get injured doing those things that they can't do their job. So it kind of, yeah, I think, yeah, exactly.
Yes, I can relate.
Yeah, and our family's one of them. We love to get out there and play. My husband's a downhill mountain biker as well. And, you know, also as a parent, you know, with being income earners too, you stop doing that as well because you don't want to not be able to provide. So that's another huge one. Unlimited claims. And the kicker is, so my family so far, I mentioned 3 claims, but we've made 11 and we're on number 12 and 13 now. And the premiums never increase based on the claims you make. So we've had our plans now for what, 5 years. There's a same, we pay the same premiums now as we did then, having already made 11 claims. So it's ridiculous. So consider, let's say WCB, right? You're only covered on the job. You know, there's certain inherent things within WCB. For those of you that have made claims, and many probably have had not the most stellar experiences. Some have had good experiences, and that's great. But you know, premiums increase. You're only covered on the job and stuff like this. So this could be a supplemental to that as well. We pay on top of it. We pay in addition to anything else that somebody needs. Excuse my dog in the background. This is COVID.
Awesome. Welcome.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, so pays on top of WCB, group benefits, even if somebody has, if they're on EI, WCB, doesn't matter. And then the other big thing is that we cover until the age of 85. So we cover children, we cover people that are retired, we cover if you're in between jobs, we cover if you're unemployed, a student. It doesn't matter. It's for everyone.
That's incredible. I just wanted to highlight a couple things. Sorry, I'm a very notes oriented person.
Oh yeah.
So that way I don't squirrel too bad. And so just thinking from a professional driver standpoint, owner operators is one of the most common, I guess, business types in the industry. And you could be one person, one truck hauling someone else's trailer. And that's always a concern, is like a very common injury is rolling an ankle at a fuel station, herniated discs to discomfort in sciatic nerves, that kind of stuff. So just, you mentioned a couple of things where the rates don't increase. So everyone listening, in our world, we know that doesn't happen. Like fuel just is skyrocketing right now, insurance premiums, and talking commercial vehicles. So the fact that it doesn't increase, you can make multiple claims and you're protected from day one. I think that those are really key things to highlight, especially for owner operators, because of the frequency that injuries can unfortunately happen. And I'm just really seasoned in that space because that's how I got hurt, was on the job when I was driving still. And yeah, those type of things would have been such peace of mind because yeah, I had to go through, like I mentioned before, not something as nearly as fun, but also the aging workforce in our industry. I think it's the average age is around 56, 57 for professional drivers. So knowing that as you get a little older, maybe things get a little more sore, you don't want to fully disclose, yes, I'm injured, because you're paying your own WCB. Whatever that looks like, I know from what I'm learning right now, it's exciting because you're actually protected and you don't have to lie to yourself, oh, it's not that bad. It's like, no, you're hurt, like get better. It's not like, yeah, you're not a young buck necessarily anymore when, yeah, if you're a little older. So, okay, sorry, I didn't mean to steal the floor. I just thought those are really, really important things to highlight. So I appreciate that.
And I was just going to say, just dovetailing on that, is that You know, when people are forced to or choose to go back to work, whether they're, you know, if they're still injured or they're still sick, that's another huge risk too, you know? So people are forcing them, like my husband, forcing themselves back to doing something when they're, you know, they run the risk of compounding that astronomically. If you're sick and you're driving, like as a driver, you need your whole body. You need, you know, if you've slipped and fallen and bumped your head and you have even a mild concussion, well, come on, maybe you should just be staying at home for a little bit and having the peace of mind that money's still coming in from the insurance company rather than forcing yourself to work. And, you know, there's so many, like I said, driving, it takes your whole body. You have to be aware, you have to be awake. If you're sick and you're taking, I don't know, like an ibuprofen or something that causes drowsiness or something, probably not a good idea, right? Back issues, all that stuff, yeah.
Yeah, so in our world in transportation, there's a big focus on fatigue management. Some of that's through legislation, some of it's through technology, some of it's just a trucking company's responsibility, and then the driver's responsibility. And in my experience, that's always the last system to fail, is the driver owning up to the fact that they're tired or they're sick or they're sore, is because they always think, well, I got this to pay for, I got that to pay for. So yeah, I think that this helps a really big problem, and it's everywhere in our industry. And it's not just a tractor trailer driver, it could be a landscaper who's a contractor who moved too many Allen blocks one day and he hurt his back. Well, you actually hurt your back, so to go do it all over again, it's not going to get better. You're not going to get stronger by pushing through necessarily. There's a time and a place for sure where recovery is important. So
absolutely, yeah.
So I have to ask this question, and it's been going on kind of through my head for the last probably 10 minutes, is how come I have never heard of this before? And where, like you mentioned farming prior, but like, how did that, like, is it just like on purpose hidden? Is it something that there's just not, like, they don't focus like other insurance companies may do by putting big billboards up, or how does that work?
I love this question. It's my favorite question because literally everybody that I talk to says to me, where has this been? Like, if this company's been around for 100 years, where has it been? And no, it hasn't been purposely kept apart from anybody, but I do like to call it the industry's best kept secret. And that's why I'm here, is to make it not a secret. But yeah, it was just, there was no intention for that. It was just that it was the son of a farmer who had actually created this insurance because he had seen his whole life farmers getting so badly injured that they then are losing their farms and all this kind of stuff. So this was the inception of the company. And 100 years ago, it was, you know, the marketing was done by door knocking, like knocking on people's doors in farming communities. Absolutely no billboards, like you say. There was nothing promotional. There was no marketing in that sense where it was out there for the masses. And so it was just kept to these rural communities. And now, because there's so many people that are self-employed, self-contracted out in the trades, there's just been, you know, more of a push to now bring this into main cities, because this is just like, no bias. Well, there is kind of a bias here, but I feel like everybody at the very least should know that they've got other options out there available to them, affordable ones, reliable ones. Our claim to fame is that we pay claims, and the reason why we're able to do this so well is because we do not advertise. We instead take those advertising dollars and keep that liquid to pay claims that are coming in. So that's very different from traditional insurance, where you see the billboards, you see the Geico, you know, Gecko thing, whatever. That's $3 billion goes into that. Well, we've got $2.6 billion just sitting in reserves for policyholder benefit. So that's why. So, you know, keep hearing about it, because you will hear this company, you will hear people talking about this company. We will be a household name. Everybody needs to have it for sure.
Incredible. That's a good business strategy too, because you're paying into the people that matter, not so much the big corporate paying into big corporate. So totally. I like that.
Yeah, and I was going to say the best form of advertisement, especially in the insurance space, is happy people that have been paid for a claim, versus what we normally hear. And it's, man, I'm spending all this money and I went to go make a claim and they told me, nope, sorry, did you read addendum whatever on page 365, the small print, that kind of stuff. So it's really cool to be a part of a company that it is changing this industry, is changing those negative stigmas, and can actually say, we pay claims. That's our claim to fame.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
It definitely aligns with my vision of creating a pivotal impact. And yeah,
Yes.
that
Totally.
yeah, I like that. I like intentional thinking and action. Yeah, that's awesome. So no, that's cool. I did have another question. So professional driver, anyone actually in the transportation industry and their families, is there any options for, say, like a small trucking outfit? They have 5 employees. If they got in contact with you too, like, and they could help with their employees and that kind of stuff, or how does something like that look?
Yeah, absolutely. There's lots of different flexibility where that's concerned. It could be, the employer maybe says, I'd like to purchase this for you guys, and, pays for the premiums, or employer can just say, you need to hear about this. This might be something that's worth adding on, because you can add it on for them and their families. Or sometimes employers say, look, we're going to kick in X number of dollars, anything over and above that, you can add on. Because as I mentioned before, it's tailor fit. Somebody might need bigger coverage for sickness than for accident, or the other way around, right? It's just up to people to decide what they would like. So tons of flexibility there. It's just about having a conversation to see, what fits that organization best, for sure.
Perfect. And that's really good to know, because our industry really does grow on exactly that, having a conversation. And maybe it's a virtual cup of coffee because we share similar mugs, which I thought was quite awesome. Anyone that's watching on YouTube, you'll see. So Ginny's totally the best mom ever, sorry. And I'm totally the best dad ever. So I rock this mug every day. It's awesome. But I think that's super important to highlight too, is that if you're thinking, whoever's listening to this right now, well, I have a crew of 10. Perfect. Talk to Ginny. Okay. I'm an independent. No problem. Like, so I like that, because again, we're all about introducing our experts, people I trust, and I very much trust Ginny, to the industry. So that way, when advice is shared or second thoughts are given and you're like, you know what? Yeah, it's time. Call Ginny now. I like that. So I think that's really important. So basically, I just summarized what I was going to ask, but it sounds like almost anyone in transportation would be eligible. Then they need to talk to you, because that's.
Yep. Yeah. 100%. I was also just going to mention one thing too, as far as actually in any industry, when you are giving or offering or exposing your employees to a coverage that gives them coverage on and off the job, and the possibility of adding on family coverage too, it's really often for a retention piece, because as an employer, it's showing the care and concern that you have for your employees. It's that extra level of, this is cool, whether they're paying for it or not, but it's like, hey, you need to take a look at this. This is something that, we think at the very least everybody should know exists, because people do need off the job coverage. In fact, many of these injuries, they happen off the job, because you're typically being careful on the job. It's when, you're out playing with your kids or camping, or gosh, even like, just having some food at dinner time. These things, they just happen, right?
Yes. Yeah, it's a great point. And yeah, part of my background, my specialty is health and safety, and some of the stats just on ladders, like,
Yep.
you know what you're doing at work, but then you just, once you kind of leave the office space, you just forget it all, and you're standing on tippy toes on the ladder changing a light bulb. It's like, yeah, okay, so these are good cover. That's a really good point. So yeah, it's not, I like that a lot. That's a great point. So thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, of course.
So just kind of as we close, I know we shared a lot of information. Again, to highlight, Ginny's the go-to. She really cares about people. She wants to have a conversation with people. And yeah, I really support what she's doing. The products that she's involved with, it's awesome. So just kind of in closing, Ginny, did you have any final thoughts, as well as how can people get in contact with you?
Yeah, awesome. Just for people to know that that's all it is just a conversation. I know that some have been confronted with the world of insurance and try to avoid it with, with all the negative stigmas, and also with people trying to saddle you with something that you don't necessarily need or cost too much. With me, it's just a conversation. I learn about you, see if there's any if there's a fit that we can figure out, fit the budget. If not, that's okay too, right? It's just about having that conversation, and my goal is just to see if there is a fit. If not, you might even know somebody that there is, that you're like, Ginny, my God, you need to talk to so and so and so and so, right? That's where it really sings for me. So as far as contacting me, the best and quickest way is by texting me, actually, or calling me. Do you want me to give my phone number now?
Yeah, you totally can, and I'll add everything into the show notes too.
Okay, perfect. It's 403-669-1180. I do everything by my phone. I've got 300 plus clients that have my phone number that are using it to call me, ask questions, claim help, all that kind of stuff. But I'm also on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram. I'm still trying to learn the social media world, slowly but surely. But yeah, you can contact me there too. I think, like Josh said, he's gonna post it anyhow. But yeah, the best way is just to use my phone number. That's the most straight to the source.
Awesome. Yeah, honestly, Ginny, thank you so much. I got jacked again. This is good. I like being around. I know it's virtual, but being in the presence of people that I know care. It's just, yeah, it's definitely what makes me tick. It's when I feel like I be in the zone of excellence, is when I'm hearing someone else share their passion. It's awesome. So just thank you so much for joining us today. And as I said, I will add all of her contact details in the show notes, her phone number, LinkedIn, Instagram, all that good stuff, because it's really important that you do have that conversation. And even if it's just a good conversation, honestly, you're going to feel better when you're done. And I think that's a gift that Ginny definitely has, as well as I love word of mouth referral. That's how I've grown my business. Obviously, Ginny, you're the same. And just, yeah, I think that's super important. So we're all about helping each other. And when someone offers something that you need, but you know that they're not, like, Ginny's not just looking for money. She's not just be like, oh, give me your checkbook. It's really straight up. I really respect that. So like I said, I'll include everything in the show notes. And as always, this podcast is going to be posted on YouTube as well as on all major platforms. So definitely excited for when this launches in the next couple of weeks. So thank you so much, Ginny. I really appreciate you hopping on today. This is awesome.
Oh, thank you so much. Really, I appreciate you putting me on here. This is outside of my comfort zone, but I feel very much the same way you do. It's chatting with you gets me excited. I love what you're doing in the trucking industry, the transportation industry as well, for sure. And so to be able to add any kind of value to these individuals in the trucking industry is awesome. So thank you for allowing me to chat with you, and you're a pleasure to chat with. Thank you.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you so much. Okay, bye everyone. Thanks so much again for hopping on. Well, that's all for today's episode. Thank you so much, Ginny, for coming onto the Truck Focus podcast. Again, I really appreciate just your passion for people. You're obviously very knowledgeable in the services that you offer, and I love the impact that it's having in so many different people's lives. If you're a small carrier, mid-sized carrier, an individual that's really looking for exactly what Ginny's talking about, I highly, highly recommend that you get in contact with her. I've included all of her information in the show notes below. As well, if you're watching this on YouTube, I ask that you subscribe to the YouTube channel. Simply press that little red button that says subscribe. If you're listening to this on a podcast platform, please subscribe, like, share. All of the support really helps, because the greater the following, the greater the impact. Thank you so much again for all of the support. And Ginny, honestly, thank you so much for coming on today. It means the world. And I'm just really excited to see just the continuous impact you'll continue to have. Thanks, everyone. Have a great day.